She stood on a busy street corner, confused, frail, and invisible. Hundreds of people passed her by, eyes fixed straight ahead, pretending not to see. To them, she was just another problem to ignore. But to one young black teen, she was something more. A human being in need. The moment he stopped, the world around him shifted. What began as a simple act of kindness soon spiraled into something no one expected. Why did his decision matter so much? And why did it change his life forever? For Marcus, life was simple but far from easy. At just 16, he carried more responsibility than most his age, helping his mother with groceries, walking his younger sister to school, and picking up shifts at the local corner store. He wasn't extraordinary in the way the world defines heroes, but in his neighborhood, kindness was rare currency, and Marcus spent it freely. On that late afternoon, the sun dipped low, painting the streets in shadows. People hurried past each other, rushing home, faces buried in phones, minds locked on their own problems. Marcus, with his backpack slung over one shoulder, blended into the crowd like he always did. Another black teen moving quietly through a world that too often refused to see him. But life has a way of placing us at crossroads when we least expect it. And for Marcus, that day would test not just his courage, but also how the world judged the color of his skin. He didn't know it yet, but just a few steps ahead waited a moment that would change the way strangers looked at him, the way his community remembered him, and the way he would see himself. Marcus was only a few blocks from home when he saw her. An elderly woman stood at the corner clutching her purse tightly, eyes darting back and forth like she had lost something more than just her way. Her lips moved, but no one stopped to listen. Dozens of people streamed past her, shoulders brushing against hers, heads turning away, pretending she wasn't there. Marcus slowed down. Something in his chest told him not to ignore her. She looked so small, so fragile, like she could disappear into the chaos of the street at any second. He hesitated just for a moment, then stepped closer. "Ma'am, are you okay?" he asked softly. Her eyes lit with relief, but almost instantly the stares began. People on the sidewalk glanced over, their expressions tightening. A few slowed their steps, whispering under their breath. To them, a young black teenager standing close to a lost old white woman didn't look like kindness. It looked like trouble. The woman reached out, her wrinkled hand clutching his sleeve as if he were her lifeline. Marcus gently guided her to a bench nearby, trying to calm her trembling voice as she explained she couldn't remember the way back to her daughter's house. But instead of gratitude from passers-by, he felt the weight of suspicion closing in. A man across the street stopped and folded his arms, glaring. A couple walked by, their eyes narrowing before they shook their heads in disapproval. And then came the phone, someone holding it up, snapping a picture, recording as if Marcus were a threat, not a helper. His pulse quickened. He had seen this before. Stories on the news, videos gone viral, black boys accused of things they didn't do, kindness twisted into suspicion, safety turned into danger. His stomach tightened as he realized how quickly this moment could spiral. Still, he stayed by her side. He couldn't just leave her. He listened carefully as she repeated her daughter's name, her voice cracking with fear. Marcus searched for clues, glancing around for a familiar landmark she might recognize. He wanted to help, but the air around him was thick with judgment. A police car rolled slowly down the street, and Marcus felt his chest seize. The whispers grew louder. Fingers pointed. To the strangers watching, it didn't matter that he was helping. What they saw was a black teenager with a vulnerable old woman, and in their minds, that image fit a dangerous stereotype. The squad car slowed, brake lights flashing red across the pavement. The woman clung tighter to Marcus, desperate, unaware of the tension building around them. And in that moment, Marcus realized one wrong word, one wrong move, and his good deed could cost him everything. The patrol car stopped. Doors opened. Two officers stepped out, their eyes immediately locking onto Marcus. One hand rested on a holster, the other on a radio. The murmurs from the crowd swelled, phones raised higher, angles capturing every second as if they were waiting for disaster. Marcus froze. His breath came in shallow bursts, his hands instinctively lifting away from the woman so no one could mistake his intentions. But to the officers, the sight of a black teenager standing close to a trembling white woman looked less like kindness and more like danger. "Step away, son," one officer barked, his tone sharp and commanding. The woman, still clutching Marcus's arm, shook her head, trying to explain. Her voice was frail, drowned out by the tension cutting through the street. No one seemed to listen to her. All eyes stayed fixed on Marcus. Every second felt like a knife's edge. He thought of the headlines he had seen. The lives ended in moments just like this. Good intentions twisted into tragedy. The crowd wasn't seeing a boy helping an old woman. They were watching a story they thought they already knew. Marcus's chest tightened. He wanted to scream, to tell them the truth, but fear held him silent. The officer's hand lingered near his weapon, a hair trigger away from catastrophe. The woman suddenly raised her voice, fragile but fierce, her words cutting through the noise. "He's helping me! He saved me!" The street fell still. Phones lowered slightly. The officer hesitated. The tension didn't vanish, but the moment had shifted. One truth had broken through the fog of prejudice. And in that frozen second, Marcus realized, his act of compassion had placed him face to face with the weight of a world still unwilling to see him for who he was. The officers finally stepped back. The old woman's trembling voice had cut through their suspicion, forcing them to see what had been true all along, that Marcus was not a threat. He was a boy who had chosen compassion when everyone else turned away. The crowd slowly dispersed, their whispers fading, their cameras lowering. For them, it was just another moment to scroll past, another clip to post. But for Marcus, it was a moment he would never forget. He walked her safely to her daughter's house, each step heavy with the weight of what almost happened. The gratitude in the woman's eyes was real, but so was the fear that lingered in his chest. He hadn't done anything wrong. He had done everything right, and still his life had hung in the balance because of the color of his skin. That night, lying awake, Marcus replayed the scene in his mind. He thought about how easily things could have ended differently, about how many others never made it home to tell their story. And he realized this wasn't just about him. It was about a system that too often turns kindness into suspicion, skin into a weapon, and innocence into guilt. His act of compassion had changed one life, the old woman's. But the deeper question remained. How many more times will stories like his be ignored, dismissed, or forgotten? Because this isn't just Marcus's story. It's the story of countless others. And until we choose to see with open eyes and open hearts, the cycle will continue. So the question is, when the next Marcus stops to help, will the world see a threat or a hero?